Hello, good afternoon. So slightly different format to normal. This week there is no social sessions, but I am going live with something a bit different. So I want to ask you a question. How do you ever feel, or do you currently feel like there is something in your life that isn't quite right? Something needs to change, but either you're not quite sure what it is, or you just don't quite have the courage or the motivation to make that change. If so, keep listening. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Colette Broomhead, as the name of this page suggests. I am a social media strategist. I have been in business for about 3 years now, and I help business owners tap into the power of social media and use it to grow their audience, build leads, make sales, and all of that good stuff. And I want to talk to you today about really how I got started and why I got started. And I've left this little rather cryptic description on my Facebook Live. But basically, that is how I got started. That was the kind of the day that really pushed me to finally make a change. I was out walking with my 2-year-old. We had just been to drop off my eldest at Sunday school. It was the weekend, and I had been working hard all week in my corporate role. In fact, I had not long ago had a promotion to really kind of dream role, managing a team in marketing, and doing things that I really did love to do. And we walked past the park, and my little 2-year-old pointed at the park and clearly wanted to go. And I thought, you know what? Yes, why not? I never get time to do this. Normally during the week, I get pictures of my son at the park sent to me by our childminder who has taken him, and that's the closest I ever got to taking him to the park myself, was just looking at these pictures on my phone at my desk at work. And I just thought, yes, I'm taking him to the park, I'm going to get to do this myself and enjoy time with him. So we walked over to the park, and it hadn't occurred to me that it had been raining, and so everything was far too wet to play on. And so I had to explain to my, try to explain, if you've ever tried to explain this to a 2-year-old, it's easier said than done, that in fact we couldn't go to the park because everything was too wet, and that we would have to go home instead. And something about that moment just kind of broke me. I just thought, I don't want to do this anymore. And, is this really what my life is about? Just kind of going to work, never seeing my kids, always feeling guilty, guilty if they're ill. Do I stay at home and feel like a bad employer, or do I send my poor child to school and feel like a bad mother? And whatever you do, you're going to feel bad about something. And I was just sick of it. And I got to this kind of breaking point, trying to explain to my crying 2-year-old why we couldn't go to the park because it was still wet. And I got home and kind of cried on my husband's shoulder and just said, I can't do this anymore. And he said, what do you want to do? And at that point, I didn't really have a clear vision. I didn't have this kind of whole business plan mapped out or anything like that. I just knew that I didn't want to keep doing what I was doing because I was sick of the guilt. I was sick of not seeing my kids, and of just sort of being torn between these two worlds. I was sick of being in a job where, although I enjoyed the job, there were often kind of frustrations and things out of my control. Often a sense of being kind of underappreciated or undernoticed. I was just sick of it all. And so I took this kind of half idea. I'd been blogging, and I knew, I was writing in my job anyway. And I just formulated this kind of harebrained scheme, really, when I think back about it, to leave and to start a business. And a lot of it was frankly blind faith that it would just all work out. And thankfully it has all worked out. But I think the point I'm trying to make is If you are in that situation, and it may not be, exactly the same as mine, but where you're kind of feeling like there is something in your life that's not the way you want it to be, something that needs to change, and you're kind of on this edge of like, oh, but I don't know how it would work out. I don't know if it would be okay. I don't know if I should. Then sometimes it is just a case of taking a leap of faith. And I'm not saying a completely blind leap of faith, but identifying, first of all, what it is that's making you unhappy, what it is that you need to change, and then pinpointing what it is that you want to happen. What if you don't, if this is what you don't want, what is it that you do want? What does that look like? And again, you don't have to have a pinpoint vision of it, but you have to have an idea of the direction that you want to go in. And then thirdly, coming up with a plan. And it doesn't need to be a perfect plan. You don't need to have everything worked out, but a common sense plan where you've kind of thought things through to a level that you're happy with. And then there is an element of taking that leap of faith and just doing it, and going for it. Because if you don't, nothing changes. And thinking to yourself, in 5 years from now, do I still want to be here? Do I still want to be getting frustrated about this thing? Do I still want to be feeling like I do right now? Or do I want to have tried something else? Do I want to be down the path towards this goal that I've got, this kind of different way of doing things that I've got? And if the answer is yes, then there's only one course of action, and that is to go for it, and just make your plan and go. So happily for me, it's worked out. I now have a business that I love. I can't see myself ever really going back to corporate. And yeah, I look back to that day and I'm so grateful, really, that I reached that point and was able to then make a change. So if you're watching this and feeling those same sort of things, I'd be happy to chat. If anyone wants to chat about their situation and wants to kind of pick my brain, I'm more than happy to chat. But I hope this inspires someone. And that's it. That's what I wanted to share today. So like I say, a bit different to the usual social sessions, which will be back on track next week. All right, take care.